There is a force in this universe more powerful than any bank account, more influential than any title, more unrelenting than any external obstacle. It is unseen, silent, and yet it commands the direction of every human life. It is your thought, and not just thought in the idle sense but directed thought, the conscious, deliberate, disciplined act of aiming your mind toward a definite purpose. Every invention, every empire, every masterpiece ever created began first in this invisible workshop of the mind. Thomas Edison did not invent the light bulb because he had a wish or a hope, he invented it because his mind refused to drift. Each failure, each spark of disappointment, became fuel for a singular, unshakable aim. Most people drift through life, believing that circumstances, luck, or talent are what will determine their success. They do not see that the current of their thoughts is pulling them relentlessly toward mediocrity. They believe in chance, they believe in timing, they believe in what everyone else believes, and that is the most dangerous force in the human experience, conformity. Drift is the natural state of the undisciplined mind. Without a clearly defined purpose, the mind wanders, is distracted, is entertained by what is urgent but unimportant, and becomes a playground for fear, doubt, and indecision. Contrast that with a mind directed toward a specific aim. Andrew Carnegie built steel empires not because he was lucky, but because he held a singular, persistent vision. He concentrated his thoughts, day in and day out, on the outcome he desired. Every action, every choice, every conversation, and every encounter was filtered through that lens. Carnegie understood that the law of success is obedience to mental discipline first, action second. The mind, focused and repeated, begins to bend reality toward the vision it holds. The universe has no choice but to respond to that clarity. Your thoughts are always producing results, whether you are aware of it or not. To ignore this truth is to drift, to float downstream with no oars, at the mercy of currents you did not choose. The difference between an extraordinary life and an ordinary life is rarely talent, opportunity, or timing. It is the deliberate direction of thought. Napoleon Hill called it definiteness of purpose. Earl Nightingale called it success conditioning. The principle is eternal. Humans become the sum of the dominant thoughts they allow to occupy their minds. Look at Henry Ford, mocked for imagining a world where cars replaced horses. He could have drifted with the opinion of the crowd, allowed doubt to settle in, and joined the ranks of the conventional. Instead, he aimed his mind at a clear picture of the future, a world moving on wheels, powered by gasoline and human ingenuity. He refused distraction, he refused compromise, he directed his thought, and in doing so, he reshaped an entire society. The first step in this mastery is understanding that thought is not neutral. Every idea, every image, every memory, every internal conversation is programming your mind, whether you intend it or not. When you allow fear to dominate, you invite failure. When you allow uncertainty to linger, you invite delay. When you allow envy or comparison to consume your attention, you invite mediocrity. Thought is the architect of circumstance. It is the builder of habits. It is the silent engineer of destiny. This is why self-discipline is non-negotiable. Discipline is not a punishment or a burden. It is the tool that allows you to select which thoughts to nourish and which to discard. Look at Walt Disney, who faced bankruptcy, ridicule, and repeated failure. What sustained him was not talent alone but the discipline to hold a vision so vivid, so emotionally charged, that every setback became a rehearsal for success. Your mind cannot distinguish between rehearsal and reality. It responds to emotion and repetition. This is the law at work. What you impress upon the subconscious, it works tirelessly to manifest. Clarity is your weapon. Drift is your enemy. A mind that wanders loses the battle before it begins. When you define your purpose clearly, when you create a mental target and aim your thoughts with precision, every decision aligns with that aim. Abraham Lincoln lost elections, faced personal tragedy, and endured public scorn, yet his mind was never idle. He held a mental image of a united nation, of justice preserved, and of principles upheld. That image guided his decisions. That image commanded his energy. That image produced results when the world seemed indifferent. To aim your mind is to take responsibility. It is to reject the notion that life simply happens to you. Every day, every hour, every moment presents a choice, to direct or to drift, to feed your mind with purpose, vision, and belief, or to feed it with distraction, doubt, and passivity. Edison spent nights testing filament after filament because he was not waiting for inspiration, he was directing thought into action, turning abstract ideas into tangible reality. Carnegie did not get lucky with investments, he filtered every opportunity through his vision. Disney did not stumble into a theme park empire, he built it brick by brick, thought by thought, until reality obeyed his mental blueprint. The mind, left to its own devices, will always gravitate toward comfort, avoidance, and distraction. But when you impose direction, when you cultivate the discipline to consistently align thought with a single, compelling purpose, you activate forces beyond understanding. Ideas appear in unexpected ways. People who can help your vision emerge in your life. Circumstances that seemed impossible shift as if the world itself is bending to the focus of your mind. The law is impartial. It does not negotiate. It does not wait for readiness. It simply responds to the energy of directed thought. Success is not a product of chance. It is the result of choice. Not sporadic, convenient choice, but persistent, deliberate, relentless choice. Every day, Edison, Carnegie, Disney, Lincoln, and Ford made countless decisions that aligned with a single aim. Every failure, every distraction, every seeming setback was evaluated against that aim. If it served the purpose, it was retained. If it did not, it was discarded. This is the essence of mental mastery, choosing which thoughts to act upon and which to release, and doing so without hesitation. The truth that separates those who succeed from those who wander lies in the ability to focus the mind relentlessly. The mind is like a cannon, unfocused, it fires scattered, harmless shots that make no dent. Focused, it becomes unstoppable, capable of piercing through doubt, fear, and every external obstacle. Carnegie understood this when he built his steel empire. He didn't dabble. He did not allow the noise of the world to distract him. He aimed, and then he fired. Every thought, every conversation, every action reinforced the same mental target. Success became not a possibility, but an inevitable consequence of disciplined thought. Belief is the fuel that powers this aim. Without belief, focus is wasted energy. Look at Abraham Lincoln, a man who faced failure after failure, who endured personal and public humiliation. It was belief in the idea of a unified nation, in the possibility of justice and freedom, that allowed him to persist through despair. Every setback was merely a test, a mental sharpening stone. The power of directed thought depends not only on clarity, but on unwavering belief, a belief that refuses to acknowledge limits imposed by circumstance or fear. Your beliefs are the invisible architect of your life. Consider Walt Disney, whose first studio went bankrupt, whose ideas were mocked, whose bank accounts ran dry. The world's doubts could not sway his internal conviction. He directed every thought, every ounce of energy, toward creating experiences that did not yet exist but could exist if he refused to quit. The imagination of the mind, when disciplined and believed in, bends reality to its vision. And it is not talent alone that produces such results, it is a mind trained to see what others cannot, a mind that refuses to drift. Drifting is the silent killer of human potential. Most people drift because they have not chosen. They absorb beliefs, fears, and opinions from the environment, letting circumstance dictate their destiny. They allow distractions to hijack the mind, minute by minute, day by day, until years have passed, and their lives are nothing more than echoes of borrowed thoughts. Drift is invisible, subtle, seductive. It whispers, "This is enough. Don't aim higher, don't risk, don't dream bigger." And while it whispers, the world moves past them, opportunity fades, and potential dies quietly. But a mind that refuses to drift commands life itself. Edison did not wait for the perfect filament or the ideal laboratory conditions. He acted, he persisted, he visualized success as though it had already arrived. He aimed, and he acted in alignment with that aim. Every failure was catalogued, analyzed, and repurposed. The result was not luck, but the mechanical obedience of a mind programmed for success. Carnegie, Disney, Ford, Lincoln each shows the same pattern: persistent, directed thought, followed by consistent, aligned action. This principle applies to every aspect of life. Wealth, health, relationships, creativity. None exist outside the influence of thought. Money flows to those who first imagine abundance and then act with precision to create it. Health thrives in minds that visualize vitality and practice daily habits aligned with that vision. Relationships flourish when thought is directed toward understanding, gratitude, and connection. Creativity is unlocked when the mind refuses mental clutter, when imagination is nourished and protected. In every area, directed thought is the invisible hand that sculpts reality. The challenge is not in understanding this principle. The challenge is in living it consistently, every day. Focus is not something you switch on occasionally. It is a practice, a discipline, a daily decision to align thought with a single, compelling aim. Carnegie built steel empires, Edison lit the world, Disney enchanted generations, Ford revolutionized mobility not because they were brilliant for a moment, but because they were relentless for decades. Your mind works the same way. Feed it doubt, distraction, and passivity, and it will produce mediocrity. Feed it clarity, belief, and persistence, and it will produce extraordinary results. Action without thought is wasted energy. Thought without action is wasted potential. The alchemy occurs when thought is directed, believed in, and acted upon relentlessly. Think of Lincoln, drafting policies, delivering speeches, and making decisions with a mental picture of a unified nation guiding every move. Think of Disney, sketching, designing, and building, long before the first visitor stepped into Disneyland. Think of Ford, designing, testing, and refining, long before the automobile was a household necessity. Directed thought is invisible, but its consequences are undeniable. Every great achievement begins as a thought impressed on the subconscious mind with emotional intensity. Hill called it a burning desire. Nightingale called it conditioning the mind for success. Both point to the same truth: the mind obeys the dominant thought, the thought that is repeated, visualized, and believed with conviction. Your future is not written in the stars, it is written in the mental landscape you cultivate every day. And whether you realize it or not, the law is already at work. The question is whether it serves you or drifts you into mediocrity. Discipline of thought is the differentiator. It is what separates those who leave a mark on history from those who quietly disappear. Drift is easy. It is comfortable. It asks nothing of you. Directed thought is uncomfortable. It demands attention, courage, and persistence. It requires saying no to distractions, to gossip, to fleeting pleasure, and even to fear itself. It requires a single-minded pursuit of a purpose so clear, so emotionally charged, that nothing else feels tolerable. Your mind, when disciplined, becomes a magnet for opportunity. Circumstances, people, events, they all align with the energy of your dominant thought. You do not merely react to the world, you shape it. Your beliefs dictate your actions create results, your results reinforce your beliefs. It is a self-perpetuating cycle, invisible but unstoppable. A mind aimed at nothing is a mind at the mercy of everything. A mind aimed at a definite purpose is a mind that bends reality itself. Persistence is the engine that drives directed thought to fruition. Edison persisted when darkness was literal and metaphorical. Carnegie persisted when capital was scarce. Disney persisted when ridicule was loudest. Ford persisted when conventional wisdom said horses were better than cars. Persistence is born of clarity and belief. Without it, thought remains vapor. With it, thought becomes tangible. Every failure, every criticism, every moment of doubt is converted into momentum. The mind that persists, aligned with purpose, cannot fail.